Hello and welcome to Crypto Weeklies. In this video, we analyze Litecoin. None of the content financial advice. Right now, the price of LTC is at around $55. It's currently at the range lows where it found support in 2022. So, if again, not financial advice, if this level does not hold, the next level for LTC is all the way at around $30, which is the 2018 market cycle low. So from cycle to cycle, LTC was offering this area of higher support, but that support level got breached in late December 2025. This is again 2018. Then we are connecting with 2022 bear market and the 2024 downturn as well. But as 2026 began, this area of support kind of gave way. Now the previous area, again, if we go by the candle wick, the lowest LTC could go this cycle is at around $41. If there is a shorter term rally, like in the current environment where the wider crypto market is coming into this bullish seasonality, where the overall composite risk of most major cryptos is greater than zero point 0.3, that means they are outside of the accumulation zone. For example, over here, Bitcoin and ETH over here, Bitcoin at around 73K, ETH at around 2300. This signals some sort of a short to a medium term bullish phase in the asset class. Litecoin has not pumped in this bullish seasonality for the crypto asset class. Since if you measure it from 2026 February, when the price was at around $53, it's only about $1 higher. Compare that with assets such as Bitcoin or ETH, you can see there has been a significant difference. Bitcoin was at around 60K in February, the lows were at 60K, now the price is at around 73K. ETH even similar, 1700 dropped to 1700, now it's at around 2300. I think Sol also had a similar story, again dropped to $66, now it's at around $83. Coming back to Litecoin, haven't seen this pump yet. If it does pump, the shorter term prediction for that pump is at around $63. That's where the 20-week simple moving average of Litecoin is. Again, right now price of Bitcoin has yet to come to that 20-week simple moving average, which is at around $77,000. It's a declining function. So if, let's say, the price stays over here for a couple of weeks, the 20-week simple moving average could simply just, that red line over here, could just come and meet the price action at the current level if the price action were to stay sideways. So what does it mean for Litecoin? If Litecoin were to pump slightly later, like it did back in November 2025 after Bitcoin had its high in October 2025. So there was one rally back above the 20-week simple moving average. So if there is something similar rally going to happen in the next few weeks, if that kind of rally materializes, the level to watch to the upside is $63. The level to watch to the downside is $41. Is Litecoin right now below 200-week simple moving average and the 300-week simple moving average? The answer is yes. The 200-week simple moving average for LTC is at around, roughly speaking, $80. The 300-week is roughly speaking $100. So if and when this blue line turns white, that's where the price action is lower than 200-week. Typically, that's the bear market accumulation territory for Litecoin. But as this bull market price barely moved above the 200-week simple moving average to the upside, the accumulation zone for Litecoin at 200-week simple moving average, without this altcoin season behind us in the last bear market, could give some sort of a false sense of hope, because the moving average, the 300-week moving average, has essentially 200-week and the 300-week essentially has been range bound, as the price action has been range bound for so long, essentially since that April 2022 drop. In the last 4 years, the price action has boxed in this territory between $120, like 10-20% tolerance to the upside to that $120, and $40 to the downside. So that range has been kind of well defined. If we try to analyze Litecoin current risk level with respect to the logarithmic regression based DK model, the This model says that the fair value of Litecoin is all the way at around $45. So there has to be at least some sort of a drop in the later half of 2026 to justify accumulation below this fair value model. This is a mathematically derived fair value of Litecoin using its own price action since 2014, all the way more than 10 to 11 years worth of data and trying to cut this price action in a non-linear fashion in two halves, where the top half is overvalued and the bottom half is undervalued. This is using polynomial regression based function and using 2 degrees of freedom. So in the short term, if there is a pump to the upside, this yellow line could come as a area of resistance at $65-$66, which is again confluent with that short term 20-week simple moving average price as well, which is at around $63. So this is also a declining function. So right now it's at around $65. That one standard deviation overvaluation territory. The undervaluation territory, the bottom of the bear market for Litecoin could be at around $31. That's the one standard deviation green line over here, residual drawn from the fair value using a diminished volatility or decay based model. Looking at the time weighted average price scenario, this white line over here is the time weighted average price since 2014. That means this is the price at which Litecoin has spent its entire life since 2014. This white line is the natural state of Litecoin without much hype or much doom or panic. This is where the price action can be easier to digest without that euphoria or panic scenarios. So accumulating below the time weighted average price, like below this white line over here, is typically when essentially accumulating at those levels is beating the clock, where by entering at level where the price or has spent a lot less time, and the market has historically spent very little time below the white line, as evidenced by this historical price action. This level for Litecoin is coming in at around $71. So for the remainder of the bear market, unless something were to drastically change, which again at this point of the bear market is unlikely, accumulating below $71 per this model is considered low risk than accumulating, let's say at in 2024 or even in 2021 or in 2023, where the risk levels were greater than 1. So for example, if we toggle off all of these risk levels and only keep all DCA, again not financial advice, when the price in this risk level 1, essentially finding some of the great times to DCA. This is a live model. It does not retroactively fix the time, fix the time weighted average price. It's a static in that sense, but it gets updated every day to identify what's the time weighted average price using all of the past days, considering the average price for all days traded since 2014 and providing the latest number on that time weighted average price. It does not retroactively change the time weighted average price. Let's say on February 2026, what was the time weighted average price that you see today would be the time weighted average price you would see in 2027, 2028, 2029. So in that regard, all the historical averages are kept intact. It's just the latest print. It provides the guidelines based on the current price action. Nonetheless, accumulating below the time weighted average price, as this model indicates, is considered low risk. One model saying price action has to go down, which is the logarithmic regression based model. The other model, which is the time weighted average price, that this current model saying that the price action at this territory again may go down, but again, like it did back in 2022, where the price and the time weighted average price had a 35% difference. That means at the bottom, the price was 35% lower than the time weighted average price. Right now, the difference is 23%. In 2018, the difference was 38%. Maybe at 30%, like it was in February 2026, that was where the price and the time weighted average price had a discount of 30%. That could have been one of the great times to DCA, when not just at the time weighted average price, but with a 30% discount on the time weighted average price, accumulation made most amount of sense for Litecoin at that point in time. So just something to keep in mind. Overall summary risk for Litecoin at this point, as compared with other models or other older cryptos that we have in the asset class, Litecoin accumulation risk is relatively low. It's at 0.21, Bitcoin is at 0.33. Anything lower than 0.3 is typically accumulation again. The reason for Litecoin's overall risk to be this low is again, as the time weighted average price model suggests, that the price is below the time weighted average price, typically a good time to DCA in. If the floor kind of falls out for Litecoin, if these levels do not hold much support, let's say 6 more months of bearishness, the price of LTC towards the end of that panic drop in the next 6 months could be as low as about $23, which would be lower or close to the 2018 bottom as suggested previously. The weekly average price at the bottom was $24 in 2018. If something similar were to happen in 2026, that bottom could be at around $24 to $22. So going as back as about this area over here, which again the candle wick was at around $22, but that weekly average price for that week was $24. And looking at the candle wicks and candle bodies is not much helpful if we have a longer term price outlook. Rather than that, looking at the average price for that week as a summary of that week makes the most amount of sense, just to tune out all the noise. So at this stage, if there is a 3 months drop instead of a 6 months drop, one could make an argument that as 2024-2025 did not have that kind of a euphoria blow off top, that could mean that the panic bottom for 2026 could be slightly less severe than before. In that case, 3 months of a panic from let's say mid-April, again we don't know when that could exactly materialize, but let's say we go by 3 months downturn in the remainder of 2026, the floor for Litecoin in that event between let's say just for exercise or an example purposes, starting with mid-April goes to mid-May, then mid-June and mid-July, then that in that sense, or in that case, the support for Litecoin for the bear market bottom is close to $30 instead of $22. So that's the worst case scenario for Litecoin. If we were looking for estimated bear market bottom or an accumulation entry point for Litecoin right now, the base drawdown is upon us. That means the first scenario has already materialized. The panic case for Litecoin is at around $49, which is about 12% down from the current price. And the worst case scenario is at around $44, which is about 20% lower than the current price. All in all, again, these are the aggregated models across time weighted average price model, the regression models, and the 20-week simple moving average price based risk. All in all, the worst case scenario for Litecoin is not too far away from here. There could be as high as about 25 to 40% correction along the way towards the end of the bear market 2026. But as several models indicate that the risk is relatively low, the regression based model is an exception, but time weighted average price model, even the one of the other models, which is the summary risk model, this is the simple moving average price based summary risk. This purple line over here is the overall normalized summary risk using almost 11 years of data. This is all of the individual components of 20-week simple moving average risk, the 100-week and the 200-week. Right now, the overall summary risk for Litecoin is relatively low. At February bottom, that risk was at its lowest. Now it's at around 5.5%. In June 2022 and in February 2026, this risk level were at its range lows. So with that, I would like to conclude by saying multiple models are saying that Litecoin is very close to an accumulation territory in 2026. That doesn't mean the price cannot go low from here, but if there is a recovery on the other side, that means the asset class recovers in 2027-2028 time period. Accumulating at these levels, at least per the time weighted average price, is not the worst time. With that, hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give a like and subscribe, and hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.